What are some phrases or expressions that make you cringe because people commonly say them incorrectly?
It's for all intents and purposes, not intensive purposes. Oh, and if you're using the word irregardless, you can just use regardless.
Loose versus loose, common as come on, edited to add, oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot, an old wives' tale. No, an old wives' tale.
I could care less. Would've, could've.
Then instead of, then, people be like, I'm taller than you face with rolling eyes.
It's not said incorrectly, but it's used incorrectly, POV, point of view.
You did not bawl your eyes if you were crying very hard, you bawled * your eyes out.
I'm supporting cancer. No, you aren't. No one supports cancer.
On Reddit, gaslighting. 98% of the time people use it incorrectly to just mean lying or being a.
They did a complete 360 degrees. Ma'am, that means they didn't change.
People saying weary of rather than wary. Weary means tired. Wary means leery, nervous about. Also, people saying grizzly bear when they mean grizzly, like a nasty ass scene, or gristly, tough like gristle.
These aren't phrases or expressions, but when people, especially when English is their first and only language, don't know how to use there, and there. I've even seen people confuse RN as my second language, and I feel like that is very elementary. So any native English speaker should know the difference.
Supposedly instead of supposedly. This drives me insane.
Espresso. It's not espresso. It's awful when they really emphasize the X sound too.
Heard on the Netflix show Outlast, I'm gonna be your scapegoat.
Defiantly instead of definitely.
Nuclear.
Nip it in the You nip a flower, or an idea, in the * bud, before it has a chance to grow. No one should be nipping anyone's butt, at least, not in public. Also, anywho, just stop that, you're not cute.
You never cease to amaze me. It's cringy and also funny if you take it literal. But I never see anyone get it correct. It's cease not seize.
Conversate instead of converse.
Call in the cavalry. Cavalry is a term for mounted soldiers. Calvary is a name for the hill that Jesus was killed on, historically.
A director at work has been saying for years, without further ado, when public speaking, introducing guests etc. No one has been game enough to correct.
Take it for you get crushed between two equally large slabs.
Begging the question. It doesn't mean to bring forth a question, it's illogical circular reasoning.
Misuse of the word apart. When people are trying to say, a part of, not a part in reference to being included, face with rolling eyes.
Could've instead of could have.
I can't breath is a noun. Breathe is a verb. There's more. Loose when they mean lose. Cloths when they mean clothes. And don't even get me started on there and there, or whose and whose, or two and two. Irregardless drives me nuts. I have had people argue with me that it's a word, and it might be, but it sounds like you are saying the opposite of what you are trying to say, and it makes you sound like an idiot trying to use a big word to sound smarter. And even autocorrect is trying to change it to regardless right here.
Pronouncing voila as voila, woman facepalming.
People write deep-seated when it's deep-seated.
When people use the word whenever when they meant when. Like, whenever I went to the store X happened, but they are referring to one specific store visit and not really referring to whenever they are at that store. IDK why this bugs me so much.
Doggy dog world.
I need to lay down, when someone means they need to lie down, and similar. Go and lay, I had a lay just no.
I am bias, but you are bias *ed. You are not the embodiment of bias. There's an ed on the end there.
ATM machine drives me nuts.
And I know, you saw, or I've seen.
Specific ocean drives me mad.
Jealous instead of envious.
On accident, it's by accident.
I'm literally dying. Unless you are, and then condolences are in order. Unless you are referring to the fact that we are all moving towards our death at some point in the future.
Blood is thicker than water. Ugh, learn the whole phrase. It means the opposite of what you think it means, bro.
Chomping at the bit, it's champing, horses champ at their bits. This one really gets me. BC sources, Webster's, are starting to recognize chomping as correct BC. It's so commonly used. Collective stupidity is affecting whether we define something correctly or not.
Irregardless drives me mad when I hear it. It makes no sense as a word at all.
One of my favorite lines in the movie, The Duff, is Robbie Amell going, irregardless. Mae Whitman goes, not a word, and Amell goes, well irregardless of that. And I am Mae Whitman in those situations.
This has the Bone Apple Tea vibes going on.
The loose thing happens so often and I just hate it so much. You cannot lose a game either. Those people should just go play with their loose jigsaws. Away from me.
This is my number one. 90% of people I hear say this. It makes no sense.
Yes, that drives me mad.
I say, does it look like I care? Or, I couldn't care less. I could care less doesn't make sense. It just seems like you care and you want to care less but can't.
Haven't you heard of these famous historical figures? Joan of Arc, Lawrence of Arabia, could have been?
My ex was Australian. When I corrected him when he wrote, would've, he said that's just how they wrote it.
Then I what? The suspense is killing me. You're taller, then I what asterisk?
Those TikTok POVs drive me nuts because filming yourself and having a storyline doesn't make something a POV. It's quite literally about filming in a manner that makes the viewer feel as if they're interacting with something, someone. Woman facepalming.
I always imagine someone doing horrible things with one of those melon scoopers, ballers.
Agreed. Libra gang y'all. Go Libras.
Yes. And love bombing, which people here seem to invoke anytime someone is a little over the top enthusiastic in a new relationship but, like gaslighting, has a really specific meaning.
This, everything and everyone is gaslighting or gatekeeping.
Narcissist. Said or did something I don't like.
This is just my personal theory because it helps me be less bothered. I think people say weary because their brains are combining wary and leery. Still drive me crazy. This is the one I came to the thread to look for.
Me too, until someone pointed it out to me that it's either way in the dictionary. Gah, I was so crushed lol.
Etc. It's not etc.
But it's the express train to being awake and alert. S.
I'm a barista, and we had a girl that constantly said espresso. IR drove me insane.
Robbing a bank. Quick. Go to the escape goat and let's get out of here.
I've seen this one butchered into nip it in the ass, or nip it in the rear. And it's honestly kind of hilarious that they think the phrase refers to biting something's ass to keep it from progressing.
Anyone.
Agree on, nip it in the butt. Anywho. On the other hand is fun and silly and I will not stop. I don't see it as cute. Just silly, like something a dad would say.
You can pry, anywho, from my cold dead hands.
Orientated instead of oriented.
Maybe they're suggesting an egregious overreaction and want the person they're dealing with crucified thinking face thinking face thinking face.
This drives me crazy. Not so much because I care if someone understands what begs the question means, but because we already have a perfectly acceptable phrase to use. Raises the over though. It's everywhere, even in academic writing. I'm hoping I just stop noticing it.
This is just with extra steps.
I hate this one. Whenever I was as if the time of your birth is ambiguous and can happen more than once.
A good way to remember, things lay, people lie.
Also the reverse, when people say Pacific meaning specific.
Woe till they're not synonymous. For those who also didn't know, it's essentially, I want, envy, versus, don't take, jealousy.
This one is so irritating because everyone does it. And you can't correct them. They either don't understand or get mad. Oh, I love your new whatever. I'm so jealous. You're scared or angry that something's being taken away from you. That makes no sense. You're envious. You want what someone else has. They're not synonyms.
If I can do it on purpose, I can do it on accident. I'm pretty sure this is regional. It's definitely acceptable in the Southeast. I wouldn't personally put the phrase in my writing, but I definitely say it. I'd be very surprised to learn it got points counted off for a school assignment.
This is generational. Younger people say on accident and older people say by accident, in general.
The word literally is having a very strange transition right now. Its meaning is morphing to mean, figuratively, like humans. I appreciate playing with words, but this one seems so unuseful.
I have never in my life heard of champing. I didn't know it was even a word. Have been writing for over 2 decades. Expressionless.
UNIRREGARDLESS.
See, I always thought there were 2 ways to say it until like 2014. I thought the couldn't care less way was very serious, whereas the could care less way still held the same meaning but was sarcastic. I give people too much faith. And then look dumb because of it.
I always reply. So you care a little bit then?
No, that is not how we write it in Australia.
Of is not a verb, even in Australia. It's still.
Honestly wondering if the trend is confusing kids who are learning about POV and writing, reading.
Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. My Cancer sun is mad at you, but my Pisces moon agrees, rolling on the floor laughing.
I have a friend who has his own special way of butchering language, and he says I'm like, dude, words don't even do that.
My friend has been saying, Exedra, for years.
Yes, and people who write it ECT.
My Trump grandma uses nip it in the ass a lot. She thinks it means to bust someone's ass, which is another one.
Anyhoost.
I won't stop saying it either. Something tells me I wouldn't get along well with someone who has a problem with saying nonsense words and silly demeanors, and that's okay.